You think gladiators fought for glory? For freedom? For the roar of the crowd and the chance to win back their honor? That's the myth Rome sold us. The truth is far uglier. The gladiator games weren't about bravery, they were about control, about turning human suffering into a machine of propaganda. Rome didn't build its empire on strength alone, it built it on spectacle. And those bloody arenas? They weren't places of heroism, they were factories of obedience. Imagine this, 50,000 people screaming for blood as state-trained killers butcher slaves, prisoners, and even volunteers, all for a chance to be less disposable. They called it sport. We'd call it content. Because what Rome discovered long before Instagram or the UFC was that nothing unites the masses like violence wrapped in glory. Today, we glorify athletes. Back then, they glorified killers. But the twist? Those heroes of the Colosseum were property. Their lives, their deaths scheduled, traded, marketed. And behind the roar of the crowd was a system more calculated, corrupt, and grotesque than any empire deserved to survive. Welcome to Rome's blood economy, a world of cages, contracts, and staged executions. By the end, you'll realize, the gladiators weren't Rome's entertainment. They were its mirror. Forget Hollywood's version. The Colosseum wasn't built for heroics, it was built for mass control. Every seat, every scream, every drop of blood had a purpose. The emperors knew it. Keep the people fed and entertained, and they won't notice the rot underneath. Bread and circuses, they called it. Cheap food, cheaper souls. The games ran for months, sometimes 300 shows a year. Hundreds of people and animals died daily. It was less a festival, more a factory line of slaughter. But here's the twist. Most gladiators didn't fight to the death, not because Rome was merciful, but because they were too expensive to waste. Gladiators were investments, property insured by their owners. A dead fighter was bad for business. Still, even the survivors were walking corpses in waiting, because the crowd demanded blood and the empire delivered. And if you think that's cruel, wait until you hear how they were made. Before the games came the ludus, the gladiator schools. Think of them as prison camps mixed with military labs. Captured slaves, war prisoners, and criminals were brought in, branded, stripped, and fed like cattle. Their new name wasn't a name, it was a number. Each was owned by a lanista, a trainer/slave dealer who ran these facilities like breeding farms. And it worked like an industry. Trainers experimented with diet, muscle development, pain tolerance. They knew exactly how to break a man and rebuild him into a killer. Their secret weapon? Psychology. They promised slaves one thing: fight well enough, and maybe, just maybe, you'll win your freedom. Most never did. The Romans even had brands of fighters, Murmillo, Retiarius, Circuses, each with their own gear, stats, and fan base. It was pro wrestling 2,000 years early, except the losers bled out in sand. And Rome loved every second. Because once you've turned humans into content, you can justify anything. Here's something Hollywood never shows. Gladiators signed contracts, real legal documents. But signing wasn't freedom, it was surrender. The agreement literally said they consented to be burned, chained, beaten, or killed by the sword. Yes, those exact words. Some even volunteered. Free men, debtors, thrill seekers, or desperate gamblers chasing fame. They thought it was a shortcut to celebrity, and Rome let them believe that. because a volunteer's death made the crowd cheer louder. If a man chose to die, it made the empire look merciful. The truth? The contract was a slow-motion suicide note sealed with entertainment value. Rome didn't own their bodies. It owned their fear. And every drop of that fear sold tickets. But not all the violence stayed in the arena. Some of it was rehearsed in the most humiliating ways possible. Inside the ludus, fights were practiced like theater. Every move was choreographed. Every stab was calculated, because the worst crime a gladiator could commit wasn't losing, it was boring the crowd. Trainers rehearsed death scenes, testing weapons, timing screams. A sloppy kill could mean a riot. A perfect kill, a standing ovation. When the crowd chanted, "Iugula, kill him," the executioner had to deliver with artistry. Sometimes he'd strike in rhythm with the music. A man's last breath, part of the soundtrack. Rome even had scriptwriters for the arena, deciding which fighters lived, which died, and how bloody it would get. Death was theater. Pain was choreography. The result? A civilization so addicted to spectacle, it forgot the line between performance and execution. And just when you think it couldn't get more grotesque, Rome brought in actors. In Rome, even fiction killed. During mythological reenactments, condemned criminals were forced to play roles and then actually die in character. If the story called for Icarus to fall, they'd launch a man off a tower. If it was Prometheus being devoured, they used a real man and real vultures. The crowd applauded like it was cinema. One play reenacted the burning of Hercules. The actor, a prisoner soaked in tar and set on fire. Another depicted Orpheus torn apart by beasts. They used lions. Rome called it art. This wasn't cruelty by accident. It was design. Rome believed that by merging myth with blood, they were feeding the gods and the masses in one ritual. Today, we call that content creation. Back then, it was called justice. But the games weren't just sadistic, they were political. And the emperors knew exactly how to weaponize that addiction. To rule Rome, you didn't just need power, you needed a good show. The arena was the emperor's Twitter feed. Caesar, Nero, Commodus, they all understood. Blood equals approval ratings. Nero once staged games lasting an entire year just to distract citizens from famine. Emperor Titus inaugurated the Colosseum with 100 days of slaughter, 5,000 animals and 2,000 humans dead to celebrate finishing construction. But the worst was Commodus. He didn't just sponsor games, he starred in them. Dressed as Hercules, he fought unarmed opponents with wooden swords, then ordered their execution afterward to complete the illusion. He believed himself divine. The crowd was forced to cheer. Those who didn't, executed too. The arena became a political theater, blood as branding, pain as policy. Rome learned that spectacle could rewrite truth itself. And that lesson survived the empire. You'll see it in every political stunt, every viral disaster, every tragedy for clicks. But even emperors couldn't control what came next when Rome's blood addiction turned inward. By the 4th century, the games spiraled out of control. Costs exploded. Gladiator schools bankrupted cities. Even slaves became too expensive to waste. Rome was killing itself for entertainment. In North Africa, arenas were so overrun with executions that they ran out of criminals, so they began condemning Christians, philosophers, and debtors to fill the lineup. Spectators barely flinched. Then came the paradox. As Rome civilized, it grew even more bloodthirsty. The same society that built aqueducts and libraries also trained children to cheer at dismemberment. When Emperor Honorius finally banned the games in 404 CE, it wasn't morality, it was bankruptcy. The empire had drained its own veins dry. One monk tried to stop a fight in the arena. The crowd tore him apart. That's when Rome died, not politically, but spiritually. But before you pity them, remember how modern we've become. Scroll your feed. Watch the outrage, the humiliation, the staged disasters sold as entertainment. The Colosseum never closed, it just changed servers. We still crave blood, just not with swords. We cancel, mock, and devour reputations in public arenas. We call it accountability, but it's the same addiction to collective punishment. Rome turned death into dopamine. We've just replaced the sand with screens. And the irony? Gladiators, those slaves of spectacle, were the first influencers. They had fans, sponsors, merchandise. Some even had graffiti fan art. "I love Celidus, the Thracian," carved into walls. The machine hasn't changed, only the medium has. So next time you see a viral downfall, ask yourself, are we watching history repeat? Or are we just the new Romans, cheering for blood in high definition? Because maybe the disturbing truth about gladiators isn't just what Rome did to them, it's what they revealed about us.